I need you guys to be honest with me about something. This shirt, does it look like I'm wearing pajamas? Because here's the thing, I was at the Banana Republic outlet mall a couple of weekends ago, and this shirt was on their clearance rack for like $5. And I'm like, hell yes, I love a collar. I saw it and I was like, I love it. It's like navy stripes, and I'm like, I love blue. And then I looked and I was like, this would be really cute for like work. And then it is in fact a pajama shirt. But I'm like, I think it could pass. And my mom also agreed. But then I was like, I put it on this morning and I was like, does it actually just look like I'm wearing pajamas? So I can trust y'all to tell me the truth. Does it just look like I'm wearing a pajama shirt? Let me know. Will that keep me from wearing it? Probably not. But you know, I just would like to be aware. I did a video a while ago, I'll link it down below, called No Thought, No Plot, Just Hot. And y'all loved it. I loved doing it. I'm definitely gonna be doing a part 2 of it very soon. But on the flip end of that, I wanna do thought, plot, and hot. So romance books that I think have it all. They have plot, they have thought, you know, like when you're reading it, you have to like be engaged, you have to be paying attention. It's not just like mindless enjoyment. And most importantly, they have the hot. They bring it with that level. Like all of these books, I'd say are like up there. Like you just know you're getting like immaculate hotness out of them. I have a list of books here. I have enough to do like multiple parts of this video, but I did narrow it down today to just the ones that I felt like talking about, ones that I feel like maybe I haven't talked about in a while. We're gonna jump in. So yeah, these are romance books that just have it all, knock it out of the park in all 3 categories in my mind. So first up, one that I haven't talked about in a while, because to be honest, I read this book a long time ago and I have kind of forgotten about it. But my book club with my friends, they're reading it. This is their first ever experience in smut. And I'm like, did y'all jump in too far? I don't know. But Priest by Simone. This is the first book in a series. However, it's like a companion series. So you get your happily ever after in this one already. So this one follows Poppy and Father Tyler Bell. So it's a very taboo romance. So if that's not your thing, so sorry. We'll talk maybe more up your alley in some of these other recs. But for this one, Father Tyler Bell is a priest, and he has become a priest for certain reasons. He grew up Catholic, and there are some things that he's almost like punishing himself for by becoming a priest that you find out over the course of the book. And one day Poppy walks into his church and he just has a moment where he's like, oh no. I'm feeling things I should not be feeling as a priest. It is kind of insta-lust-y, but then their journey of their relationship, I feel like, is kind of what like carries the book through past that insta-attraction that he has. Poppy is kind of lost, so she seeks like church out to see if maybe that'll give her some sort of like answer, some sort of purpose. And does she find answer and purpose, or does she just find love with Father Tyler Bell? Read it and find out. This one hits the thought, it hits the plot, and it hits the hot. Oh, yes, it does. Oh, yes, it does. Next up, I pulled off my special edition of this because I recently just got this from Mystic Box in the Pam Godwin box, Sea of Ruin. It is just, oh my God, it's so beautiful. I love the foiling. I love the like sprayed edges on it. It's just so pretty. So this one is a standalone, and it is a historical romance, but don't let that scare you off if you're like me and you haven't like read a ton of historical romances, because here's the thing, even though it is historical, it's like piratey and adventure-y, that it doesn't feel like, even though it takes place in like 1700 something, it doesn't feel, I thought, like so long ago that it didn't have that like modern feel to it, if that makes any sort of sense. So anyways, this one follows Bennett, and her mother is like trying to make her become a lady, but she does not want to do that. She wants to be a pirate like her father. And there's an incident that happens after her mother tries to arrange a marriage for her, and she ends up running and goes on the run basically, and she gets her ship, she has a crew, and then years later, you know, she's doing her thing. But then we have a little run-in with Priest, a fellow pirate and rival pirate that happens to be her husband, but that she is very estranged from, and she runs into him, and it turns into a bit of a love triangle situation between him and a pirate hunter, Lord Ashley Cutler, and he ends up taking Bennett captive. So it's like captor, captive, love triangle-ish, historical, dark. This is a dark book. I love the pirating adventures that we go on with Bennett. The spice in this is hot. It's so good. I love the plot of like the character relationships, but then also like Bennett's mission and like her time with Ashley and like the complications that happen with that. It's just all a 10 out of 10 for me. I absolutely loved this book. Okay, next up is one that's perfect for fall. Perfect as we're heading into spooky ooky times, and that is Her Soul to Take by Harley LaRue. So this is the first book in the, what's it called? Souls trilogy, but again, this is like just one couple, so you get their happily ever in this, and you don't have to like read the next one if you don't want to. So this one follows Leon and Ray. And Ray moves back to her hometown to go to college there, and she's living on her own in this house that's like in the woods. It's secluded, kind of like spooky vibes, but she's into it. She likes being back there. She just like, she has a feeling like that she's supposed to be there, you know? And at her campus though, at college, there have been some murders lately. What? There's some like, I don't know, like lingering tension and like vibes kind of left over from these murders. They kind of have left a lot of people on edge. Not only is Ray a college student, she also is a YouTuber, and she is like a paranormal YouTuber. She likes to like go and like explore haunted places, tries to like catch ghosts on screen, you know, that kind of stuff. But she's like, she refuses to do any of the fake things to like get views. She wants the real deal. And when she finds this way to try to summon a demon, she's like, I'm gonna do it. And she ends up summoning a literal demon, and that is Leon. Her and the literal demon end up falling in love. There's so much more to the story than that, but there's like cult vibes, very like just eerie, like an eerie tone to this book. There's like a lot of different like plot things with the town and histories and the cult, which I don't really want to give too much away. I do think that this is a good one to kind of go in blind to, because it's like fun to get into those twists as they come. But I will just say that once again, like the thought is there, because there is like a lot of like histories and plot things that you have to like kind of keep track of, which is fun. But the spice in this also, ooh. Never once have I been like, oh, a demon does it for me, but a demon does it for me. Next up, we have what I would say is one of Penelope Douglas's most underrated books, and that is Tryst Six Venom. So this is a standalone high school bully sapphic sports romance. So this one follows Clay and Olivia, and they are both seniors in high school, and Clay and Olivia live on opposite sides of the tracks. And Olivia crosses the tracks every day into the wealthy area of town to go to school. And there has just always been like a lot of dissent from residents about Olivia's side of town and like their view of people from there. And when Olivia crosses over, like they don't necessarily like that she's in school with them. And Olivia is open about being gay and liking girls. And she has a particularly contentious relationship with her teammate Clay. And Clay is like a debutante. She comes from a wealthy family. From the outside, she's kind of like the girl who has it all, you know? But inside, she is like really unhappy. She's really struggling. She's also like really drawn to death. She like works and assists with a mortician and like behind her mom's back and everything, and she like really enjoys that. And she just is very unhappy in her life, and she does take a lot of her anger and frustration out on Olivia. And also Clay is just struggling internally with her feelings towards Olivia and kind of coming to terms with who she is and who she likes and who she's attracted to. Strong bully vibes in this one. They are ruthless to each other. Like Clay and Olivia are so mean to each other. But I think that makes the payoff even better when that hate turns to love, because that line is so thin, and when they finally cross it, it just makes it so good. It is a thick book, so you get like a lot of character development between the two of them, but then also a lot of like plot with like the town and such, and like Olivia's life on one side and Clay's life on the other. This book just all around has it all for me. I think it's a very underrated Penelope Douglas book. I don't see a ton of people talk about this one in particular, and I personally just loved it, and I loved Clay and Olivia, and again, just ticks all three of the boxes. Next up is a recent read, and one that I'm like, how do I even talk about this? Because like, I don't know how you talk about it, and I always wondered when people were like, oh, you can't say anything about this series. I was like, what do you mean you can't say anything now after reading it? I get it, but I'm gonna include it in here anyways, because again, it hits all three boxes, and that is the Ravenhood trilogy by Kate Stewart. So you start out with Flock here. So it consists of 3 books, and you do have to read them in order, and they follow the same people moving all the way through. So again, you don't get like your happily ever after in this one. You got to read the 3 books to get like the full picture. So you're following Cecilia in here, and she So she moves to, what is it called? River Falls? Triple Falls. She moves to Triple Falls. She has grown up with her mom, and her dad is this very successful businessman that has never really been a part of her life. And she has to go and live with him and work in one of his factories in order to work out like a deal with them to get her trust fund. So she has to like work there for a year and live with him in order to get that trust fund. And she is really, really dedicated to finishing up that year because she wants the money to be able to take care of her mom and like go to school, that kind of stuff. So she's very set on making it work when she gets there. And when she arrives, she's just, she's just trying to work and get her time served, but she meets Sean and things just kind of change from there. So she meets Sean and Dominic, and just her life takes a different course than what she originally thinks. And here's the thing, I don't really know what else I can say. I really don't want to say anything more. I went into this series completely blind, and I'm so happy that I did. Yes, I was confused in this book, and you're supposed to be, and I know that sounds frustrating to say that it's like, why am I supposed to be confused while I'm reading? But trust the process. When you get to book 2, which is Exodus, everything will like start to fall into place, and even more so in the 3rd book. So I know like it's a journey, it's a time commitment to get through the 3 books to get the full picture, but oh, it is so worth it. The plot in this is amazing. The spice in this is amazing. And just like this book makes you think, like you do have to be paying attention to these characters, these motives, their backstories, what they're doing. It's all like, it all comes together. But yeah, that's where I'll leave it for this one. I don't really know what else to say. Okay, next up, we have a Rockstar reverse harem romance, and that is Lilac by B.B. Reed. So this one and it's also enemies to lovers. So Rockstar reverse harem, enemies to lovers. This one follows Braxton, and she is a guitarist. And when this one band loses their lead guitarist, she gets like slotted in to fill that new role with the band. And the band members from the first meeting, they're like, we don't like you, and they are set out to make her life miserable. Like they are just unhappy. There's like some problems between the 3 of them. There was problems with their past guitarist that now with her coming in, like there's just conflict everywhere pretty much when the 4 of these people come together. But you know what makes that even better is then like the payoff when that hate turns to love and they all start getting together. So Houston, Lauren, and Jericho, they all have their own issues as a band between the 3 of them, and then also like past histories with this old guitarist, and just they have a lot to sort through without Braxton being put into the mix here, and then them having to deal with her. And Braxton also has a history that she's kind of like running from a little bit that unfolds like her past throughout the course of the book. Again, with that, I don't really want to say anything. You get like glimpses into it, but you don't really get the full picture and more towards the end of the story. So again, I want to let you be able to experience that as you go, but I do really like her past and what she dealt with in the past and why she is the way that she is now. The group scenes, 5 stars. The plot, great. The thought is there. And yeah, it just kind of encompasses, again, everything that this video is all about. It has it all. Okay, I got 2 more for this video, but like I said, I got tons more, so I can do another if y'all want. What do I have next? Next up, oh, this is one of my favorite reads that I've read this year, and that is Sin and Discipline by Lily White. So this one is a student-teacher age gap romance following Lennon and Amelia. So Amelia is, she's graduated high school. It's like the summer after her senior year, and she's in this piano competition. She's a very talented musician, and she is in this like summer program to win this like highly sought after piano scholarship. Her home life sucks. Her father has Alzheimer's, and he's like really declining really rapidly, and her older brother is not really able to help stay on top of their bills, and he's resulted to some like unsavory business to try to keep them afloat, and in turn brought Amelia into that and kind of forces Amelia to also take part of some of that unsavory business. They're both just trying to really do what they can to like keep their father at home, but really, really struggling, like just having to deal with responsibilities that someone Amelia's age should not have to be dealing with. And then Lennon is a very accomplished musician, but he has returned to his hometown to help guest judge this competition and help teach these students. He has his own reasons for being there. He has some past demons that he's kind of like facing now that he's back home. He lost his sister, and you kind of like unravel what happened with all of that, and he has a lot of anger about that still, and just like about his circumstances as well. And when he's back in town, he's walking across a parking lot one day, and Amelia tries to pickpocket him. and he chases her down and is like, you better not try that again, gets his wallet back, and then the next day in class, guess who is sitting in his class? Amelia. I loved each of their backstories. I loved that they both had their own motives for certain things. Yeah, I don't want to get into spoilery territory here, but yeah, again, just checked all the boxes and absolutely loved it. Gave me very much Dark Notes vibes, except like a little less dark. And lastly, this is obviously a very popular series. So like I feel like the whole series checks off this box, but I'm gonna highlight Dead Man Walking from the Fallen Men series by Gianna Darling. This is the 6th book in the series because I feel like I haven't talked about it a lot lately, but I do really love this book. And so this one follows Bee and Priest, and Bee is the younger sister of Lulu, who her book is book 2, and she's married to the president of the Fallen Men, and Bee is her younger sister. And so again, Bee and Lulu were like brought up in a very religious, goody two-shoes kind of family. Their dad was the mayor or something like that, prominent guy, but her parents were garbage. And they just always kind of like neglected Bee, neglected Lou. Anyways, so while Bee is like this sunshiny, goody two-shoes kind of girl, she has a fascination with darkness, and she runs like a true crime podcast. She's very just drawn to darker things, and one of those darker things happens to be Priest. And Priest is the enforcer of the Fallen Men MC. So basically, Priest kills people. You know, that's what he does. And he is a sociopath. That's what it is, where like he doesn't feel any emotion or anything. But then when Bee comes around, he kind of starts to be like, why do I have this like sense of protection towards her? Like, why do I have this draw to her? So it's very much like opposites attract. It's dark because you see Priest, you know, in action sometimes. Obviously, you've got like the themes of the MC through here and like their relationship, but then there also is a serial killer on the loose that's like targeting the Fallen Men and targeting Bee specifically and like threatening Bee and stuff. And I really, really love Bee and Priest's dynamic because it is so much like opposites, but they just work so well together. Like they're two people that shouldn't work together and yet they just do. Okay, that is it. That is all of my Thought Plot Hot Recs. If you guys want a part 2, let me know. I'd be happy to do so. I will also be doing No Thought, No Plot, Just Hot part 2 in September. So you have that to look forward to if you're already like itching for more from the first video that I dropped. So anyways, that is it for today, and I will see you when I see ya.